What is going on, all you Pokemon collectomaniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and over the last couple months, my gosh, we have been having so much fun and been learning so much about some amazing cards out there, and we have been doing a deep dive into their PSA 10 population. We've been looking at their gem rates. We've been looking at their PSA 10 price versus the raw card price. We have just been doing all kinds of deep dives and learning so much. Now, we have done that for the top 20 chase cards in Sword and Shield. We've done it for the top 20 chase cards in Sun and Moon. We did it for Evolving Skies chase cards, and we did it for Fusion Strike. But listen, I have been saying this for a long time. I feel like the XY era as a whole is being overlooked. I think everybody was all hot and bothered about Sun and Moon for a while. Now I think Sword and Shield is literally too hot to handle. And when I look at some of the singles cards from the XY era, I feel like they are flying under the radar big time. So again, why would I not do this same view for the XY era? So that is what I've spent the last week doing. I've been compiling all of the 20 most expensive cards from the XY era, but by raw card price. I don't include cards from special sets, and I don't include promo cards, so these are only cards that come from booster box sets, but I have the top 20 most expensive ones from a raw card perspective here on this list. And listen, I'm telling you right now, the numbers on this are absolutely unbelievable. Now, a couple things we need to understand before we start looking at this list and we start talking about populations and we start talking about PSA 10 versus raw card price ratio, all that stuff. XY was a totally different era in the Pokemon collecting space. Like, it was just there, it wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. People were less concerned about condition. Like, you'll see when you look at these population numbers that they're nothing compared to what we see in Sword and Shield, and they are even dwarfed by what we saw in Sun and Moon. Now, take that with a grain of salt because it is what it is. Some of the prices for the PSA 10s, considering how low the population is, are still really approachable because, again, remember, it doesn't matter if something has a population of 5. If there's not 5 people out there who want to buy it, then the price isn't going to reflect that. So price and population, all of that has to do with demand. And I am telling you right now, in my humble opinion, I feel like the XY era is flying under the radar. I don't think it's getting the demand that it's due. And I hope and I feel that at some point in the future, the markets are going to pivot. And I do think XY is going to come back into favor, and I think some of these cards at their current price points are absolute steals. Now, when we talk about the crazy population numbers, 12 of the top 20 have less than 200 cards in a PSA 10 holder right now. That is insane. That's a crazy low population for a lot of these cards. And guess what? 16 of the 20 on this list have less than 500, which again is just, it's mind-boggling to think about how low the populations are for so many of these cards. And then when we start talking about prices, how approachable considering the populations are, and it's just really cool for us to dive into. But before we get into that, obviously I'm going to walk you through some of these cards individually. I do want to say this: if you enjoy this type of content, if this stuff gets you fired up, hit that subscribe button. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, if you like what you see, give us a big old thumbs up. We put a ton of work into this stuff here on the PikaPikaPapa channel, and those 3 small things go a long way in showing us you appreciate it. So with all of that nonsense out of the way, let's start looking at some individual cards. And this is the one that just absolutely flew off the page at me, and I had to start with this as the first one that we talk about. And this is the Charizard Hollow from XY Evolutions. And look at these numbers. We're going to jump straight into the numbers down below. There has been almost 37,000. I actually had to go back and check this 3 different times. There have been almost 37,000 of this card submitted to PSA for grading, and only 520 of them have been awarded a PSA 10 gem mint. That is a 1.4% gem rate, which is, that's as low as you're gonna, I mean, it's almost impossible to get lower than that. That's as low as you're gonna see for a Charizard from a set like XY Evolutions, which a lot of people really enjoy. Obviously, it was the last set in the XY era. You know, it was really popular. I personally like the Elite Trainer boxes. You got the Blastoise, I got the Charizard one chilling behind me right here. Like, there's a lot to love about this set, and I had no idea that this was a 1.4% gem rate card. Now, when you look at the PSA 10 price, there it says $1,474, but I wanted to go on eBay and double check it, and guess what? The last 2 that have sold, one was over $1,700, and that was an auction. I love auctions. I think auctions are the best representation for the true value of a card, but then there was a buy it now, which was a best offer accepted. The price was at $1,900. One would assume that it ended up between that $1,700 and $1,900 price range. So even though the data that I have suggested this is about a $1,474 card, guess what? I think this is more a $1,700, $1,800 card. Now, the raw price is only $50, which makes a lot of sense because guess what? This is a Charizard, which is it's not in short supply, it's in high demand, and it is almost impossible to get in a PSA 10 gem mint. So the PSA 10 prices are super high. The raw card is very approachable. It's a huge ratio, a 30 ratio. So if you take the raw price, times 30. That's what you get to the PSA 10 price. And again, I can't believe a 1.4% gem rate. That's as low as I've seen, and I'm pretty sure that's as low as we're going to see as we continue to go through videos like this in the future. Now, the next ones I wanted to talk about right here are the Mewtwo's from Breakthrough. And again, two of the other cards that are below 200 overall PSA 10 population, and another two cards with a really, really crazy low gem rate. You see the gem rate on number 163 is at 15.4%, and then you see the gem rate on number 164 there to the right is 14.8%. Now you look at the PSA 10 prices, pretty high prices, right? You got $627 for the 163 right there on the left, which I actually prefer that one. I think the artwork on that one is fire. I love the blue. I love the yellow. I love the way my man's just sitting there with his fist up in the air. Love the art about that one. Not saying I'm not a fan of 164, but when I think about it, the price for the PSA 10 on the 164 card is actually a little bit lower, right? And that's probably because we talk about this a lot on the channel. The artwork, at least for me, is a little more fire on the 163 card. But still, when you're looking at these cards, I mean, you talk about the PSA 10 population of being less than 200. If there are more than 200 people out there in the world who want these cards in a PSA 10 holder, then guess what? The prices are going to be pretty high because there's not nearly enough of them to fill all that demand. So really low gem rate on these cards, really low PSA 10 population. Yeah, you know what I mean? The one card's going to set you back about $627, but guess what? That's cheaper than a whole lot of Sun and Moon booster boxes right now, and that's cheaper than an Evolving Skies booster box. And then the other one right there at $438, even though it's not my favorite art, man, getting that card for under $450 with a population of 189 with a 14.8% gem rate, that looks like a really approachable point right there if you're looking for something to put in the Poké Closet and hold for 10, 15, 20 years on end. Again, just absolute huge name Pokemon, always one of the most graded ones at PSA, some awesome artwork, some really low pops, and some really low gem rates right here. Now, the next ones we're going to look about, so I almost went with Ancient Origins, right? Because we all know Ancient Origins is a Ray set, and you know how much I love my Rayquazas right here. But I went with Roaring Skies, and I did the two cards from Roaring Skies because if you've watched this channel at all over the last 18 months, I have been saying it, I've been singing this from the rooftop, that even though I think XY as a whole is being overlooked, I think Roaring Skies is being overlooked big time. Booster boxes are still in the $600 range. I think they're sub $700 still. So for me, for a set of this age with some awesome chase cards like this, I just think it's flying way under the radar. And then when you look at the population of the chase cards again, look at the M full art. There is a population of 104 with a sub 10% gem rate right there. And then when you look at just the regular old full art card, that is a population of 34. There's only 34 of those in the world, which is absolutely crazy to think about. Only 648 have been submitted for grading, only a 5.2% gem rate. And when you look at the prices, I think that M full art on the right-hand side right there, number 105, I think sitting at $555 is an absolute steal. You know, Rayquaza's got all kinds of fanfare. It's obviously one of the big chase cards from Evolving Skies, which I think is going to help keep it top of mind for some of the more current investors, from some of the more newer people who are coming into the hobby. They're going to see that card, they're going to love it, they're going to start doing some research, they're going to find other cool Rayquaza cards, they're going to find these right here, which I think is going to help drive their long-term value up. So that is one of the reasons that I went with this over Ancient Origin. Ancient Origin booster boxes is already like $1,100, $1,200. You know, a lot of their singles cards are really high, but I went with these two from Roaring Skies because I think that they are being overlooked in a sea of things that are being overlooked. So fire cards, fire set, I'm really excited to see these, and I was fascinated to look at these numbers. Now, the next ones right here are Phantom Forces. Gosh, I love Gengar so much. You know that. It's just absolutely one of my favorite Pokemon. And then this Dialga right here. The secret is it's just an awesome card. You know, I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but I actually got a chance to look at it in person a couple weeks ago, and I think it's a really cool card. I thought it might be a little washed out, but it's not. And then looking at the PSA 10 populations, it's just criminal how low these are, right? Like, this is what to expect from these older eras where, the people weren't quite so condition conscious. But I mean, the Dialga right there has a PSA 10 population of 54. The full art Gengar right there, 75. The M Gengar right there, which I actually love the art on that M Gengar, right? It's a population of 59. And then obviously the gem rates are incredibly small. Now, the PSA 10 prices, again, on those top two right there, really high prices, right? You got $1,100 for the Dialga right there. You got $1,300 for the full art Gengar, but then you drop down to the M Gengar right there, like we just talked about the Rayquaza from the last one, sub $500 at $475. And when you look at the raw prices right here, the raw prices are really high for the full art Gengar and for the Dialga as well. But then that M Gengar, I think it's just flying under the radar. I really do. I feel like the whole M series right here, there's a couple of chase cards that I think have some great opportunity for once everybody starts falling in love with XY. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people will hate on XY from now until the end of time. time, but I do certainly think that it will have its time in the sun, just like Sun and Moon has, just like Sword and Shield is right now. Maybe when Sword and Shield fizzles out, while people still aren't excited about Scarlet and Violet, they'll rotate into XY. Who knows what's going to happen? All I know are these some awesome cards from an awesome time in the Pokemon space, and they have really, really crazy low populations, and I think they're being overlooked. So that M Gengar EX Secret right there is certainly on my hit list. It's sub $500 in a PSA 10 holder. Now the next one's right here. I've got to finish this video off with the Charizards. Now obviously there was 20 cards on the list. I haven't highlighted 20 individual cards. The video would be too long. You'd get bored and you'd be like, I hate you, PikaPikaPaPa. So if you want to see more on cards like this, if you want to see other eras, if you want to see other sets, drop it in the comments below and I will go ahead and talk about it. But we had to finish off with Flashfire, right? Flashfire booster boxes are an insane amount of money. I don't even know what they're going for now, probably north of $3,000. But that's because it's got a great Charizard lineup, and Charizard is obviously the big dog in the Pokemon space. And when you look at the 4 cards, I didn't put 4 pictures up. I only put 3 pictures up. But when you look at this, you got the 108 and the 107 right now. Obviously that M Charizard Secret right there is the big dog. That's the big chase card. In PSA 10s, that is going to cost you about $1,800, and even a raw card is going to get you close to $400 in the hole right now, which is crazy. Only 176 of those are in PSA 10s, and then you take a step back, you get to number 107, which is that M Charizard Secret right there. Okay, population less than 100, population of 79, and still a PSA 10 is going to cost you over $1,000. A raw price is 110. And then when you get to the full art Charizard right there, I love that card. I think that card's awesome. So again, another one, even though the population is higher than the number 107 card above it, even though the PSA 10 population is over double that, right? 183 versus 79. Guess what? The PSA 10 price, because the card is so awesome, because the demand is so high, PSA 10s are going to cost you about $1,800, about the same as that 108 secret rare M Charizard, the blue Charizard, right there. It's amazing. It goes to speak to, hey, listen, population is only one part of the equation, but demand is the other. And these are some cards that are low pop, high demand, and they're going to set you back a pretty penny if you want to go after it. Now, even the raw cards for the 3 that are up there are over $100 each. And as I said, the blue secret rare is up there at $380. So I thought these would be some really cool cards to end on. These are obviously some grail cards for a lot of us out there. I don't know if I'll ever have $2,000 to drop on a single graded Charizard card from XY Flashfire, but who knows what the future holds in store. And all I know is learning as much as I can about these cards and these populations helps level me up as a collector and investor, and if nothing else, it's a ton of fun to look at these and dream, right? So hey, listen, if you made it to the end of the video, if you enjoyed the content, hit that subscribe button. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below, and as always, if you like what you see, give us a big old thumbs up. I appreciate you more than I can say. Have an epic one, and I'll talk to you soon. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye.